Hello, it's Dave again and welcome back to this series where we're learning about the basics of music theory easily step by step. If you want to check out the book that accompanies this lesson series, go to the link in the description box below. This is episode number 6 and we're going to be looking at relative minors and majors, and we're going to be going back to the circle of fifths. The way chords interact is due to a chord's function, and the function is basically the role a chord plays within a key. In a later episode, I'm going to go into a bit more detail about chord functions. In a key, we have a tonal center, and that is the notes that everything's built upon. So in the key of C major, the scale is built from the note C, and then all the chords are derived from the note C, and that's how we get the chords and the notes for the scale. In music, we have this thing called tension and release. Certain notes and certain chords within a key are going to sound more resolved than others. In our example key of C, the C chord is going to provide the release to a lot of the tension that is being created within the music. For example, if I went from a C chord to a G chord, and if you've checked out the last episode, you'll know that that's the 5 chord in C, then it will feel like it wants to go back to a C chord. So C to G, back to C. It's a very stable, resolved sound. The 1 chord in chord functions is called a tonic chord. The 1 chord isn't the only tonic chord within a key, there's a few of them. The 6 chord is also a tonic chord, and it's referred to as the relative minor chord. The 6 chord is closely related to the 1 chord. In our example of C, this means the C major chord and the A minor chord are related to each other. So the C major scale and the A minor scale contain the exact same notes. The only difference being is that C major starts from C and the A minor starts from A. In basic terms, the key of A minor is the exact same chords and same notes as the key of C major, but if you want to write a chord progression in the key of A minor, then you would use A minor as your main resolve. If you were to play these 2 chords together, they have a very stable sound. And this is really useful to know if you're wanting to create a piece of music that sounds very stable. For example, if I play a C major chord to an A minor chord, it sounds really good, but there's not really any tension there. But you can use your relative minor in other ways. So for example, if I was to play the same chord progression that I used as an example in the last episode, which was the 1, 3, 4, 5 progression, we did it in the key of C, so it was C major, E minor, F major, to G major. So you could see that as being like a verse progression. Now if you wanted to go into another part, like a chorus or a bridge or something like that, a really simple way of making the distinction between the 2 parts is to replace the 1 chord with the 6 chord. So I'll give that a try now. You see, it's the exact same feel, it's got the same, you can tell it's part of the same tune because the chord progression is the same. But going to that 6 chord just changes the vibe, and you can tell that this could be a really good change for a chorus or a pre-chorus or something like that. And you notice there I resolved it back to the 1 chord, the C chord, as that was the tonal center of this piece. Knowing that these 2 chords are going to sound like you're going home, they're going to get rid of any tension, they're going to take you back to, like I say, home base. And they can be substituted for each other to create different sounding chord progressions. And just knowing that alone is a good introduction to chord functions and how chords can relate to each other. And now we're going to go back to the circle of fifths, and we're going to put the information we've just found about relative minor and major chords onto the circle so it provides some more useful information. A quick recap of the circle. So the circle goes round and it displays all the notes of the chromatic scale. If you go clockwise around the circle, we've got all the notes going around in fifths. If we go around counterclockwise or anti-clockwise, we've got the notes going around in fourths. The left side of the circle displays the information about what notes are within all of the flat keys, so all the keys that contain flat notes. The right side of the circle contains all the information about what notes are used in all of the sharp keys, so all of the keys that contain sharp notes. We are going to add information about chords to the circle now. So the information we have on the circle so far is all the notes of all the keys. If we see those notes that we already have up there as rather than just being keys, we also see them as chords. So at 12 o'clock, C is the key of C major, but let's also see that as a C major chord. We go to 1 o'clock, we've got the key of G major, but let's also see that as a G major chord. And then the next chord will be a D major chord, and we go around the circle like that. So each of these notes are also chords. Seeing these as chords, now we can see each of them as being a one chord within a key because these are the key centers. The key of C would have C major as its one chord, so that's at 12 o'clock. The key of G at 1 o'clock, that's the key center of G, G major, so that's the one chord. At 2 o'clock is D, that's the key center of D major, so one chord of D major, and we go around the circle out. So each of these chords that we now are, and we can see these notes as, are the one chord within any key. As we've just discussed, every one of these one chords has a relative minor chord, which is the sixth chord within a key. So I'm just going to put those onto the circle now, and you can see that each chord of each key has a relative minor attached to it, and these chords all work great together. So at 12 o'clock we got C, you go up 6 above C, C, D, E, F, G, A minor goes underneath C. G, we go up 6 from G, G, A, B, C, D, E minor goes at 1 o'clock, and it goes around the circle like that. So you see that every one of these key centers, each one of these chords, has a relative minor underneath it. And incidentally, each of these chords are going around in fifths if you go around clockwise, and fourths going around anti-clockwise as well. The circle of fifths is now showing us a lot more information. I said before, I'm not going to go into too much detail about minor scales within this course. This is all about the major scale of this course. But the circle is actually now showing us the notes of minor scales as well. So for example, let's say G, for example. The key of G contains the notes G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and back to G. But it's also showing us the relative minor is E minor. And that is the minor scale, the minor key. So the minor scale actually contains the exact same notes, but starting from E. As another little side note, the circle of fifths also shows us which keys are closely related to each other. So this is useful for if you want to change key within a piece of music. You can drift into another key very easily because it's close together on the circle. You know, the notes are very similar. For example, you could go from the key of C major and transition into the key of G major very easily because they share a lot of the same notes. The circle of fifths is also showing us what chords are within a key. It's not really showing us much about the diminished chord, but let's not worry about that at the moment. So let's take, for example, C major as a key. The chords in C major are C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished. Now you notice that the majority of those chords are right next to C on the circle. When I get students in that want to get into songwriting and start writing songs, that kind of thing, I will often introduce them to the circle of relative minors and majors. And we play this, I could call it a game, to help you to come up with chord progressions really easily that you can turn into songs. I will say that to get the full benefit of this, it does help to know bar chords. There are certain types of chords that you can only really play with bar chords. The first thing you want to do is choose a number. And I'm going to choose the number 12 because that's the key of C major, and we can play all the chords in C major with just open chords. So I'm going to choose number 12. I'm going to see that as the tonal center. So C major and A minor are our tonic chords. They're the ones that we're going to be bringing everything back to. Now the idea is that whatever number you choose, anything that is attached to that letter, to that number, is going to work together. So I've chosen C major, 12 o'clock. So anything that is attached to C is going to work. So underneath C I have A minor. So I could use either C major or A minor to start with. To the left of C I have F major or D minor. To the right of C I have G major or E minor. And any of those are going to work together. So how about C to F to A minor to G. So C to F, A minor to G. Again, a perfectly good chord progression. I'm going to use an A minor for the next example. So it's going to have a bit of a sadder sound, or a more melancholy kind of sound, because it's going to be sounding like a minor key. So I'm going to go A minor, E minor, F to G. Let's see how that sounds. Again, a perfectly good chord progression that you could use to write a song. One more example. This time I'm going to go A minor, F, C, G. And let's hear how that sounds. Okay, that sounds like a nice progression. I'm going to do that again. Now let's say I've written this and I decide to use it as a verse. Now for a chorus, I'm going to replace that first chord A minor with C major. Now it's got a chorus vibe. I'm going to go back to the first progression, the verse. You see, you could easily make that into a song, really easily. And that took no prior thought beforehand to make it. I just looked at the circle, chose which chords I wanted to try, and then I decided which ones I liked, and put them together and made a bit of a tune out of it. It's that simple. So if you are into songwriting, you could give this circle a try, the circle of relative minors and majors, and have a go at making some songs up out of it. If you're a bit further along after that, from those chord progressions, you could use the notes of the key. So if then I chose the key of C major, I could use the notes of C major to make a melody around and see if I could make a melody. Now I'm just going to put some chords together to make a chord progression to play us out with. So I'm going to choose the key of A, so 3 o'clock. I'm going to play A major, F sharp minor, C sharp minor to E major, and let's see how that sounds to make some music with. So, A major, F sharp minor, C sharp minor to E. It sounds good to me. So thanks very much for watching this lesson. In the next episode, I'm going to be going through some 4-note chords. So we're going to be taking the triads that we learned in a previous episode, and we're going to be adding another note to them to make them into 4-note chords, and they're going to be called 7th chords. So we're going to do that in the next episode, and remember there is a book that accompanies this lesson series, so if you want to check that out, go to the link in the description box below. Please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon so you can keep up to date with the lessons as they're uploaded, and I will see you in the next episode.